Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Best Bodybuilding Show. I'm here at Independence Gym in Scottsdale, Arizona, our new sponsor, and I'm sitting down with Tyler Mayer, TNT CEO. We're going to talk about macros, the benefits, the pros, the cons, a little bit about, I've been on it for about 2 weeks now, so I'm going to give you guys my perspective about it. And really, I'm just going to open up the forum here with Tyler, and we're going to just, break this down a little bit for you guys. I think the best and most important thing that we're trying to come across here is, and for me, is to learn exactly what this is all about. I think that there's a big misconception out there, and the funny thing is that Tyler and I are even sitting here today because 3 years ago we probably wouldn't have been. I was so stuck into, it has to be chicken, rice, this and this, that I wasn't, open my mind, open up enough to be able to try something else. And so, here we are 3 years later down the road, and this guy's running my meal plan now, and we're going to give it a go. I got to say, I'm completely surprised and shocked about the methods, but I'm not going to start talking too much about it because I'm still such a rookie, but I'm going to let Tyler talk about it a little bit. So Tyler, tell me a little bit about how did this principle, or how did this theory, this whole macros thing, how did you decide this was for you? Because you've been doing this for a little while now.
Yeah, I've been doing it since about 2009 myself. So I've been 5 years now, but it actually all stemmed from Dr. Joe Konzeski. I don't know if you ever heard of Lane Norton.
Lane Norton, and I have heard of the name. I mean, to be honest with you, dude, I'm very, very unfamiliar with any of that.
He's well known on social media, and a lot of people know who Lane is. But what Lane preaches, it comes from Dr. Joe. He started this 20 years ago. And this was back when you're opening books up to try and find the macros.
Right.
It's not like the internet where we have apps and stuff.
Sure.
But he was the one that actually originally started this whole thing. It wasn't like meal plans. It was all right, here are macros. And then I actually researched, and when I was competing, I did the meal plan thing, what you just described. And the thing for me was I blew up 30 pounds in 5 days.
After the show?
Yeah, after the show.
And you guys, and for all competitors, I don't think that it really matters, male or female, we've all dealt with that, and I think as you become seasoned into that, it's really an uncomfortable feeling, and I think especially for women, and I'm sure for guys too, you can kind of get that what the hell just happened feeling, that deer in the headlights thing, because you trained your butt off for 3 or 4 months, and now 3 days later, you have no cuts, you're watery, you're bloated, you feel like crap.
And yeah, so I did my own research, and I'm like, there's got to be another way, because at the time I didn't really have help with reversing, and I was so restricted, I was just craving everything, and I actually binged a couple times during my
during the prep itself?
Yeah, and I felt guilty, I felt really bad, and I felt I was withered away. I know I'm already thin already, but I'm an ectomorph, and I thought I wasn't eating enough.
Right.
So I was really skinny, and so I researched, and I didn't think the whole water cutting thing was just really physiologically, it didn't make sense. So I did research, came across Joe, talked to him. He actually did my prep in 2009, and then he was like, dude, these are your macros. And I'm like, okay, can I have pasta? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, okay. I was scared to make it.
Now, is that when in 2009? Is that when you beat Charles, right? Is that show, or
no? That was
before that?
That was in 2011.
Because every time I've seen Tyler on stage, there's no question. Your conditioning is you can't deny it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You're conditioned every single time. So.
Thanks. Same fun size.
Right.
That's why I'm powerlifting. But yeah, in 2009, actually I was all about size, which you do want size to a point.
Sure.
But when I came to Dr. Joe, I was already prepping for a show, just meal plan, bro type approach. And he came to me and he's like, I was 183. I'm like, I'm shredded at 183. And he's like, no, you're not shredded.
Right.
You need to get leaner. So he got me down to 169. But I was the biggest I ever looked.
Right.
The leanest I was, and I missed overall by 1 point. So I'm like, I can do this.
Right.
And during that process, I'm like, so I can have ice cream? He's like, yeah, make it, if you feel like you need that ice cream so you don't binge, have the ice cream. As long as you fit, make it fit. So I'm like, all right. And I did the show, and after the show, I wasn't really, I didn't feel restricted, so I didn't go crazy.
Right.
And so I didn't blow up like I did in the past.
So what you're saying is during the prep, you were bringing in foods that you felt like you wanted to, even getting ready for a show.
Yeah.
You were having ice cream or something in that nature if it fit into your numbers, which is a really interesting thing, because for me mentally, that would screw me up. But just the other night, we were just talking, I was like 60 grams short on my numbers on my carbs, and I went and made a blueberry pancake, and it had, you know, strawberry jelly on top of it, you know, and so that would scare the crap out of me a year ago to do. So it's really interesting, man.
It takes the psychological factor out of it, you know, when you can, because what I do is I usually tell people, especially in prep, like do like an 80-20 split,
right.
Like 80, you know, have good nutrient dense foods for hunger reasons. Now, if there's a day where you just want to go ham on ice cream or whatever it is,
sure.
As long as it fits, go ahead and do it, but then you might run into hunger problems.
Right.
If you run into hunger problems, then you need those bro type foods to, you know, keep the hunger down and keep more satiated.
Sure.
And then, you know, every once in a while when you go out with your friends or if you're just jonesing on a candy bar, you can have that and you don't feel guilty. As long as you stick to that. That's the problem, is if you're eating like Oreo, you know, I've got 3 Oreos and you're like, man, that box just looks really good,
right.
You just keep going, then that's where you fall in trouble.
Right.
Obviously, that's where the guilt comes in.
Sure.
But, you know, if you have just 1 or 2, or even like ice cream, I mean, it's not, as long as it fits, you're good.
Now, you have quite a few dudes that are in that pro level now too, right? That you run this program with.
Yep.
So, I mean, and I see these guys coming in shape. Now you're dealing with somebody that, because I'm not a naturals guy. I don't compete in there, I compete in the NPC. And so will I be the first person that you have experienced in that level where we literally, I mean, I'm only 6 weeks out of a show. And so this whole thing is an experience that you know, I'm really, truly looking forward to. But what are your thoughts? Like, what are you expecting to come out of, you know, how my body to respond, or how it to look?
It should still respond well, just physiologically, unless there's something you took that, you know, would cause water retention.
Sure.
That's a different story. But, you know, as far as prepping goes, you know, I've prepped people who have taken steroids before. I've done that. I just don't recommend dosages because I don't know anything about it. But I'm not dogging on people who use steroids, but usually some of those guys get lazy.
Right.
Because they rely on drugs.
Right.
Those are usually the novice people that
sure.
do that. Obviously, the people who are on the pro level are like, no,
right.
I'm not messing around.
Right.
But I have helped like novice people who do use.
Right.
And they think, oh, they're like, you know, 20 weeks out, and they're like, 20 weeks out, I'm good, I can cheat, I can do this. 12 weeks out, they're like, oh, I'm okay, I'll get on it. 8 weeks out, they're panicking.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I'm going to start taking Clem, I'm going to start taking
right.
T3, and then they don't come in ready because we don't have time because
right.
they dicked around. So usually everyone responds well as long as you give yourself enough time to cut down for it. That's the biggest thing, is if you give yourself time. That way you'll eat more food, you'll retain more muscle, and you'll be fuller for your show.
Sure.
And you'll be leaner.
Sure. And that's, I think you touched on one good thing, guys, and you know, we don't talk a lot about gear on here because it's kind of one of those things in bodybuilding that it is what it is. But if you're relying just on subs to get you to be a bodybuilder, forget about it. Because the truth is, man, I'd be 300 pounds right now. You know what I mean? I'd be the biggest bodybuilder in the world, and that's just how it is. You know, so we talk a little bit about how you got into it. Now, when did you start feeling comfortable enough to go, I can show people this, man? And like, when was the first like big real win, either for you or for one of your clients, that was like, dude, I got this nailed, man?
Well, when my first show in 2009, when I did it, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I was hesitant because the cutting water thing, I was like,
right.
I was hesitant to drink water. So
I want to talk about that too. So remind me. I want to talk about the water thing because we talked about it a few times. I know it's a big deal for you and how you bring people in and stuff. And so, sorry to cut you off. I just want to make sure.
And then I actually I contacted Neil Griffin, which was a guy that I always wanted to beat. I could never beat him. And then finally I beat him in 2009. And I got first in my class and he got 7th. And he came to me and was like, dude, what'd you do different? Because he always beat me every year. And so
that had to feel good, right?
Yeah, it felt good. Like, he's a good bodybuilder. He doesn't compete anymore, but he looks great.
Right.
And he's like, let me, help me. I want to win next year. And so I'm like, well, I'll try it with you. I'm not very good at it, but let's just see. He was like a guinea pig. He's like, I'll do it. So he actually won his class and then missed the overall by 1 point. This guy was a little bigger than him that beat him, but he looked phenomenal. Completely changed his physique, how he looked, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then I actually started hitting up people in the gym. I'm like, hey, let's try bodybuilding, try it this way. A lot of people
Dude, well, I remember that. Everybody was like, "What is this guy doing, man? This guy crazy, dude."
There
like,
was people that quit with me because they didn't feel like they're suffering enough. They didn't feel like they were prepping much. And
right.
They didn't believe it.
Right.
So I wasn't charging those people, and then finally I'm like, I'm gonna charge you. You know, like maybe $100 or whatever it was, and then they started listening.
Sure.
So and then
it's funny how people become very accountable when you start paying them.
And then he, these people, they came in shredded, and people are like, what the hell do you do? And they see my clients backstage with water, and they're like, oh, this doesn't make sense. And they start talking to their friends, and then finally more and more kept coming to me, and then that was the time where we're butting heads a little bit, and then it just kept growing from there.
It's growing tremendously is the thing, dude. It's like you really have something, you've latched onto something that's, I mean, you got to be commended, and I commend you for it, because the one thing that the guy has done, and this is why I'm comfortable with you, is because I know he has a passion. And when you know somebody that has a passion for the same thing that you do, it's real easy to be comfortable. That's why it's the same reason why I work with Dusty and work with Troy Tate. All guys that have a passion for the sport in the industry, and not only want to see, of course they want to see themselves excel. Everybody does if you're involved in this. But I love when people want to see other people excel. And I think that that's what you're doing. You're doing a great job, man. And I commend you even for giving me an opportunity to do the experience, and I hope that we're able to touch some people and open some eyes here, and hopefully bring in some people to this guy, man.
I just didn't want, the main reason why I started doing what I did was because I wanted to teach people that you didn't have to kill yourself to get to the stage. Granted, when you're lean, you're suffering, you're tired, that's a different story, but like you don't have to do it from day one, 20 weeks out, just murder yourself to get to the stage.
Right.
There are different ways, and I wanted to teach people how to eat, because typically when people go on a diet, they just don't know how to eat. They follow the plan, and we're there until we hit the goal, and then we're like, what do we do now?
What do we do now? Right.
And they've just lost.
Well, and we've talked a lot about in the last few minutes just about competitors, and so I want to go away from competitors, and I just want to talk about real life and people in general, because all in all, we're a small percentage, and the lives that I really try to impact the most are the lives that people just don't get it or truly need help, and you're pulling me over, dude. You're pulling me over to be able to help people out, man, and I think that it's really a cool thing. I switched up Leanne to macros, I was telling you, and as I progress farther in this, I'm going to be able to not only be a student of it, but I'm going to learn it, because I want to be able to pass it on. I think that there's a place and a fit for this for the right people. And so with that being said, I don't know that it's a right fit for people that are having food issues, and we talked about a little bit about this, because ultimately, no matter what you do, I don't believe in diets. I believe in meal plans, because like you said, diets don't work, but you have to have willpower no matter what you do, because Tyler's not going to have the magic key, I'm not going to have the magic key, and there certainly isn't a magic pill out there, or we wouldn't have the obesity problem that we have in the US and really globally. So remember that you have to have willpower no matter what, but there's something to be said behind this. Again, I'm impressed, but do you work with just the non-competitor athlete as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't work just with bodybuilders, I work with like endurance athletes. I actually have a triathlon woman that is doing a triathlon this weekend. She competes in 2 weeks. So we based her diet around her triathlon, and she's still like shredded for figure to do the competition. But I've helped marathon runners, just gym pop people that just don't even exercise. Right. I've helped them with their diet.
Well, and I think that there's something to be said for that, and don't be afraid, you guys, to be able to reach out to Tyler and his team for his services, because you don't have to be a competitor. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be a figure competitor to be able to get benefits from food and make food win-win for you. And I think that that's the biggest key, is people don't realize that, and I know because I have clients that I've helped out with obesity problems, that they're too afraid to step into the gym. So they had cardio and a meal plan, and they've lost 100 pounds in 9 months. And that just comes down to again, it's about having willpower and sticking to the plan, but trusting a process too,
Well, and you mentioned like someone like that who was 100 pounds. A lot of us gain the weight back within 2 years. Right. The studies have shown, 90% of us gain it back within 2 years, and now studies have shown that within 5 years we gain it 100%. So we're on pace for 2030 to be 50% obese. Right. And it all comes down to bad dieting. That's where it stems from, because we do the yo-yo thing, we blow up, we lose it again, would blow up. If you ever talk to anybody who's done several diets where they lose a bunch of weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back, they typically can't lose much weight once they get to a certain point. They have a very hard time.
Right.
Because they just kill their metabolism to a point where it's like point of no return. But there are ways around it. You just have to, eat more and just get used to eating more and just not be afraid to eat. A lot of people are afraid to eat.
And I think that is a big misconception, is that when you think about especially in the women thing, the women group, you deal with a lot of, you probably experience this. You want me to eat that many times? Or you want me to eat that much? And food is not your enemy. What is your enemy is your own self. And so you have to believe and trust in the process. And again, I couldn't recommend this guy. I can't, come to him. I'm telling you right now that there's something behind this that I think for the general masses of people, even those that come to the gym on a daily basis, there's something behind this that can bring you not only to give you variety, but the thing that I missed the most in the last 18 years of competing is giving up my Thanksgivings, giving up my Christmas, giving up all these things that I've had to give up. And those are memories. You can't get those back. But so there's a lot more to this, dude, that I've been thinking about than just about being in shape. And so, again, this thing has just opened my horizons. And I think that there's a fit for this for a lot of people.
Well, when I told you when we met, a few weeks ago, this approach is you can make your lifestyle, or you don't want to make nutrition around your lifestyle. You want to make your lifestyle around nutrition. That is basically what this is you don't have to, you do think about your meals a little bit. You're consciously thinking of how much you're eating, even if you're not tracking.
Sure.
But this is what gives you the structure every day,
right,
just for the average person. So that you can go to your Thanksgivings with your family and not feel like you're killing your progress, and you'll know how to bounce back,
right,
because you're learning more about your body instead of relying on something. So you'll be able to go with friends and still have fun and make progress.
Right, and I think that's where the flexible eating comes into this. Because 6 months ago when I heard flexible eating, all I thought about was the shit that I'm posting. And it's unfortunately that people only see the Pop-Tarts and the cookies, but they don't see that a plain bagel really isn't that dirty. They don't see that a ground beef patty 93.7 is the same ground beef that I eat, that if it's chopped up. It's the same mustard. Yeah, I brought some dairy in. I haven't had dairy in a year, and it's crazy to me to even think about that. But that's the thing, is it's not all about the shitty food.
Yep,
you know what I mean? And that's the thing that I think that gets put out there. And that's what we focus on. And I try to tell people, look at the meal, look at the picture. Don't look at the Pop-Tart, look at the picture. Yeah. What is there? Yeah. So, with me in the last couple of weeks dealing with this, I've struggled a little bit at first because it was plugging stuff into a phone and getting the apps and getting all that stuff. But now it's really quite easy, and pretty soon you start clicking all your stuff that's not already in the fridge. I gotta say the biggest thing that's been fun for me again is going to the grocery store. The grocery store was a pain in the ass because I knew my 3 aisles that I could go down. Now I go down all the aisles, and so it's a whole nother spectrum to me. I feel like I'm in a whole freaking, like a kid in a candy store. And I have more stuff in my cupboards, dude, than I've ever had, and sometimes I've even struggled a couple times with stopping myself with the foods to eat, okay, have 3 of them, have 6 of them, not, have the whole box of them, because, I'm just as guilty as anybody else, man. We get going and here it is, you want to eat away. I think physically what I've noticed, the biggest, bar none, the biggest thing is the size of how my stomach gets with the quantities of food I eat. And I think a lot of people can relate with this. The quantities are relative to what your goals are. Yeah. My goals are always to get bigger, and so if you've all seen me in the off season at 240, my stomach's out to here. And everybody, even before this show, you're fat, before my last show, everyone was, oh, you're fat.
We went on Facebook one time saying that. Yeah, you're fat, dude, like, come on.
Yeah, dude, and so I knew what my body could do to bring it down, but it's not a fun thing to have to hold your breath to tie your shoes. Is that going to come when you're, 5'7" and you're pushing that kind of weight? Yes, but I'm eating a pretty high caloric intake. I'm eating 400 grams of carbs basically, and my stomach is lean, ripped, and I do not feel bloated in the least bit. That has been the biggest benefit for me. The second biggest thing is the flexibility. I've been now enjoying making food again, and it's kind of a trip. I wake up in the morning. You can't really get any dirty protein. Do you know what I
No.
mean? Like when you think about the protein sources, there really isn't a whole lot of dirty proteins out there. So that's going to mostly be clean. Then I take my carbs, I open up my fridge in my cupboard, and I grab a bunch of different carbs. Cookies, Pop-Tarts, oatmeal, cream of wheat, rice cakes, whatever, bagel. And then I put my meals together from there. You know, and it's been really kind of, and I'll grab a couple extra things in case I change my mind. So now I understand what the flexible eating thing is. It's not go eat as much ice cream as you want to eat. It's about making some choices for yourself that fit for you. So, you know, again, with that being said, I think that it's been just a tremendous, you know, tremendous eye-opener to me, man.
Good.
It's
Good.
been awesome. We're running out of time, so we're going to cut this, you know, get this going as fast as we can. But, you know, Tyler and I have talked. I just competed 6 weeks ago. I don't know. I was going to wait, you know, for a while to compete again. But we've decided not to do that. We're going to go ahead and in order, I think, to be in this 100%, I think you got to give 100%. And part of that is also given a fair opportunity to see what this can do on stage. And so we're going to do that. November, we're coming in the show. We're going to let it be known. Tyler's doing my diet. We're running me in. And we're giving it everything we got. We have high expectations. And, dude, I'm excited, bro. You know what I mean? To be really honest with you, I'm excited to see what happens. If you're doing that show, I'm doing that show. Let's make it a good show. What else do you have to add, dude? Is there anything else? I know I want to make sure that we pop off out there about how people can get a hold of you. What is it? Is it
IIFYM.com? Yeah.
Is that?
Well, my website is teamtnt.info, but then there's the IIFYM.com site that you can go on. There's a macronutrient calculator. It's very generic, but it can give you a good start, you know, to what you want to do, and it doesn't really know your body that much, but
well, I wouldn't suggest to, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, I wouldn't suggest if you don't know this stuff, because I've been doing this stuff for 18 years, man, and this is a complete opposite deal. Hire someone if you're going to do this.
It's usually better
Hire
to be hired. It takes the guesswork out of it. I get a ton of emails every day from the IFYM.com site about, hey, these are my macros, you think those are good, what should I do? You know, they don't know your body, so they're very, even people that have macros in front of them, they still second guess everything. So if you have something that solidifies it and they know what they're doing, then that helps take the guesswork out. Give them progress.
And I think too, you know, bringing someone in, there's a test. I mean, you think of all the people, even the top pros in the world, doesn't matter what federation you're in, they have coaches for a reason, guys. And so don't dive into something because you think you know. Put your ego aside. Trust me, it wasn't easy for me to go, okay, I'm going to put this all aside. But I think that by, you know, opening up your mind, that's growth. And without, you know, as long as you're growing and you're open to other things, this could be the fit for you. And honestly, when I say the fit for you, like 95% of the population, really, honestly. And again, you know that I've been like the bro science, and I'm not saying that I'm stepping away from it. I'm not saying that this is for me, or we're gonna find out. We're gonna literally find out, because we're gonna strip myself down, and you know, we have pictures from the DJ show, and we're gonna have pictures from the November show in the Western, and so we're just gonna see, dude. And you know, everybody, I know y'all. I got the haters out there. I love you all though. You guys can compare too. So as long as you're talking about us, that's all we really truly care about.
Spread the word.
Again, where can they get? How can they get a hold of you, Tyler?
Through my website, www.teamtnt.info, or email me at tyler@teamtnt.info. That'd be an email.
Tyler, get you guys set up, shaking, rocking, macros in the house. We're roughly I think we're about 10, 12 days in to my deal. And so I want you guys to see it, man. I'm gonna bust it out. This will be 2 weeks, and every couple of weeks we'll show you on camera. Once we actually start the prep, we'll really start documenting that stuff. And then of course y'all are gonna see it on stage. So I think it's November 5th.
Yeah.
I want to say something like that. November 5th, man. Look for it. Macro Mike in the house, baby. We're coming at you. I'm looking for my second Mr. Arizona. So let's see.
Let's see where we're at.
This is right now at 200, I don't know, 210 pounds, right in that area. And I just literally had, I don't know, freaking maybe 200 grams of carbs, a couple Pop-Tarts, had, I don't know, all that bagel meal and stuff. So this is literally,
You're still pretty lean.
so we'll see. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll get a couple more episodes coming up. Thank you very much. The Mike Best Bodybuilding Show.